job in a lot of ways too.
Are we though?
Yeah.
I feel like we're doing.
I can just
bad
say that
all
generically and feel like, yeah, that seems about right. That seems good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. I mean, the fact that there's still 700 people watching us.
Yeah.
It just went up like 5 viewers. So.
They're all good people.
They must all be blind and deaf.
No, they're
700.
They're discerning.
Helen Kellers.
They're discerning people looking for the next generation of entertainment, which includes information.
Or they're just
designed
or they've drank as much as we have.
Or they're inebriated.
Yeah. And they're like, man, my standards have lowered.
This is how your half of the show is starting, by the way.
Yeah, okay, so are we streaming both to YouTube and Twitch now?
That's what the letters over here say.
God,
the words,
freaking letters. Okay.
Hi, YouTube.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Twitch, YouTube.
Hello,
welcome
Kyle's
back to
YouTube
the show. Welcome back to Awesome Hardware. This is episode 109, Side B. If you guys missed Side A at all, you can go ahead and check it out on Paul's channel. I've left a link in the description below, or you can go to youtube.com/Paul's Hardware to check that out if you want to watch it in chronological order and all that jazz. We today are going to be talking about some tech news. We've got some interesting articles. As well as, and that goes for just tech and gaming. We're doing Games Report, as well as Pit My PC. So we're going to be taking a look at some of the submissions that you guys have shown us, which is going to be pretty interesting as well. So this is a tech show that Paul and I do every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Whoa. Slow down.
Okay.
You're going too fast.
This... What do you want? What do you want me to talk like Christopher Walken
I feel
now?
You're giving me. I was feeling like this tension of like.
Okay, fine. All right.
I'm just saying, like.
Welcome.
The launch
to Awesome Hardware.
There we go.
A tech news show that Paul and I do every single Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time.
I like that.
Check it out on twitch.tv/awesomehardware or our respective YouTube channels. youtube.com/Paul's Hardware or youtube.com/c/bitwit. It's a weird URL because I changed it recently. Because I keep changing my URL and my channel name. I've been having an identity crisis. Like, this is spiraling downward so quickly.
No, I like the tone. I like the mood.
Yeah.
You're establishing.
All right. You're right. I got this. I got this.
You're trying to seduce everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone who's watching now.
This is a seduction.
We gotta seduce them.
Like Angelina Jolie. All right. Hey everyone.
Like Angelina Jolie.
Hey there. So
we know what Kyle's into.
On top of hell yeah. On top of tech news, we'll also be giving you guys some fresh. That's it. It's just tech news.
That's all.
I wish I had something to follow up with that. We are selling things on our stores in the event that you would like to support us. My store is bitwit.tech/store. You can buy hoodies, shirts, glasses. Some of the things are sold out. I'll be the first to admit, but they're being restocked very shortly. Our t-shirt guy just got back from his vacation or wherever he was for a few weeks.
These glasses are in stock, though.
The glasses are in stock. They are full 20 ounce. They are much larger than these. These are now sold out, but they're more of this capacity. So you'll actually be able to fit a full pint inside of them. They're very good glasses. So check that store out. And then Paul's got his store, paulshardware.net. If you buy something from his store, whether it be a polo or a decal or a hoodie, you will get you'll get some shipping discount for buying from both of our stores.
Quick aside here, we usually give shout-outs at the end of each half of the show to the people who have purchased stuff on the show during that half.
Yeah.
We didn't do that on my half, but we'll do that at the end of Kyle's half.
Yeah.
So sorry to any of you guys who we missed.
Johnson shout-outs
There were
coming.
so many donations, but we got Johnson's coming at the end of this half.
Indeed.
After all the tech news.
Indeed. So the other thing, building on what Paul was saying, you guys are welcome to donate in chat. It's never required, but always appreciated. If you do donate or maybe attach a little message or a question to it, we will be reading those at the end of this half of the show. Rest assured, we will get around to it. So thank you very much in advance for your donations. All right, on that note, we can dive right in to the first segment here. I've kind of switched things up, Paul. Instead of... Why are you on your Twitter account?
I was going to tweet your half of the show.
Oh, you're going to tweet. All right, well, thank you very much. So instead of doing what we usually do on the second half of the show by starting with tech news, I thought I would kind of break up the news with a little Pit My PC to start things off.
All right.
So we're going to take a look at some of your own submissions that you guys have tweeted at me today.
Violates the contract.
And Paul and I are going to basically assess and sort of give you guys any sort of feedback and advice on how you can maybe up the look or the aesthetic of your system. Even from a functional standpoint, if we feel like some hardware is a little bit mismatched or whatever, we'll give our own 2 cents. No offense to Jay, of course. So the first submission comes from Ominous Psycho, which sounds like a very stable fellow, rocking a 6700K. That's the only tidbit of information he gave us about this system. It looks like it's in one of those Corsair C400 or C4 whatever it's. The inverted motherboard layout.
He's got nice hairy legs.
He's got some hairy ass Legos.
I mean,
right
not
there.
like hairy like these are about as hairy as my legs are.
Yeah, but
So-
your legs are pretty hairy. I've
they're
intimate
reasonable
experiences with your
reasonably
legs.
hairy.
Yeah, okay, that's very true. But I mean, he's got sort of a nice little theme going on here. I feel like this is quintessential RGB. You've got, some red LED fans plus like a white LED fan at the back, but you've got green LEDs on your memory cooler.
Okay.
And then some blue LEDs, it looks like, on the motherboard, perhaps. Some little accents here and there. So it kind of looks like a sort of just a smorgasbord of LEDs, which that might be your thing. You could probably synchronize that if you wanted to. That's totally up to you. I feel like this is a pretty well-balanced build, assuming that is a GTX 1070, which paired with a 6700K seems right on par for me. Cable management seems very clean as well. I don't see any sort of loose, just wires hanging out.
I like the
and
inverted case. Is this a Corsair case?
Yeah, I believe that is a Corsair case. That's probably the 400C.
400C.
Yeah. Because I've got one of those lying around somewhere that's still taking up space collecting dust. But that is exactly what the internals
I
look
believe
like.
you're right.
Especially because you can see from the... there it is. There's another shot of it. It's a really nice system, honestly. I feel like, you can configure your LEDs
Optical
to be a bit
drive.
more matchy-match.
Optical drive.
Bloop. First it's there, then it's not. Honestly, I don't really have much to critique here. I feel like...
I mean, this is a case thing, but I do like that the optical drive is up there in the little protected area with the power supply, which means you can't see the optical drive crappiness.
True.
So that's cool. All right, so mismatched LEDs. Other than that,
It's pretty great.
other than that, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, like, what? Go all white? If you swap these 2 fans for white and swapped your thing here for white, you'd have kind of blue and white, and that would match a little bit better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just maybe stick with something a little bit more coherent, rather than 4 different colors. Narrow it down to 3 or maybe even 2.
Yeah.
I think that would blend in a little bit better.
I agree.
And you got blue on your motherboard, so blue's probably got to be one of those colors.
Yeah. Indeed. Thank
Alright.
you very much, Ominous. Next up, we've got Patrick.
This is a budget build. FX 6300, an RX 470, and an RX 460.
Oh.
He's using this for
Budget
budget
mining.
Antec 302 case, 3 NAS drives. Needs help, he says.
Okay,
alright.
All right. So honestly, I can't. It's hard to knock you for aesthetics here, at least with your graphics cards not matching, because you are using it for a purpose, which is Bitcoin mining.
Yeah.
But I could tell you to maybe tighten up the cable management a little bit. I feel like some of the cables are loosely flopping around at the bottom of the case there, and obviously you don't have a chassis that has the best cable routing options. So you are limited in that sense, but I feel like it could be tightened up a bit. The hard drives are perfectly fine where they are. That seems okay. The cooler is nothing special. I have this weird thing where I like my cooler to be vertically mounted so that it's more long than it is wide. That's just a personal preference of mine. If that works for you, then so be it. Sticker on the power supply, if we're really talking aesthetics here, could be removed just to sort of black it out and make it a little bit less jarring to the rest of the overall system. Yeah, I mean, apart from upgrading the overall chassis, I feel like I don't know what else I would change.
Yeah, I mean, an updated case here would definitely give you a lot more options for cable management and would look a lot better, and you'd have potentially like a painted interior and that kind of thing. But again, working with what you got, it doesn't look too bad at all. You don't have any ketchup and mustard going on or anything like that. I would say I agree with Kyle as far as at least rotating or reconfiguring your CPU cooler. In particular, your fan on the CPU cooler, the cable is going over across the top. That doesn't look too great. But
Yeah.
again, you have a solid side panel, so nothing you do in here is gonna visually change all that much. So I'd say, look into case options. You've got a solid system to work with here. Look in the $60 to $80 range cases, because there's
Yeah.
a lot of like an S340 or something like that.
P400 Eclipse.
You could give yourself an updated building experience swapping this system into that, and also give yourself something better to work with if you decide to upgrade your core system.
I agree.
Cool.
Thanks, sir. Andres.
Andre GB.
Thank you very much, sir, for this post. We've
Ryzen
got
build.
an R5, a Ryzen 5 1600, X370, Gaming 5, 16 gigs of DDR4 at 3000 megahertz from Corsair, S340 Elite with an EVGA 500 watt and an R9 380 graphics card. Aesthetic-wise, pretty beautiful, honestly.
It's screaming for some extensions.
Yes, we are looking at maybe some black or white extensions. Would be great, because the ketchup and mustard here is not doing you any favors in the cosmetic department.
You've also, with the S340, you have a nice option here to bring your cables straight up from the power supply basement. And the daisy chain thing going on here with your default power supply is what stands out most to me. That, and
Yeah.
of course the ketchup and mustard cables from there. So a $40-ish to $50 investment, I think, in a sleeved cable extension for your 24-pin
Absolutely.
and your two PCIe's from the graphics card.
Yep.
Will give you a much cleaner look. Everything else looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, very solid. Yeah.
Heck yeah, brah.
Cool.
Yeah, well done. Thank you, Andres. And then next up we've got Evan.
Evan
Ivan
Prater.
Evan with an NZXT Source 530 and ASRock Z77 Extreme 4
Hey.
with a 2700K.
2700K.
That's my jam right there. 4x4, 16 gig, Sapphire Nitro R9390. Dust is life. Dust is love. Okay, well, let's see. All right, the first thing that stands out to me, as it does with most budget builds or most systems in general, is the brown PCB on the motherboard.
Yep.
I feel like it looks like someone just pooped in your system and just spread it all around your motherboard.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. It looks like big old poop.
It's not that great.
A turd emoji right there. And then everything else looks fine.
You have a really solid power supply.
Stickers upside down.
Get rid of that sticker. Just
remove it.
Heat gun it off or something.
Yep.
And then beyond that, I think your case is solid too.
Yeah.
You're just I think at this point you're kind of biding your time for your next core system upgrade, because swapping the motherboard, CPU, memory, getting yourself up to a DDR4 platform and everything, whether it's a Ryzen or an Intel platform,
Yeah.
I think it'd be a great option. But the good news is, like, your core stuff in here, like your case, power supply, are looking good. Like,
Yep.
so you've got a good foundation to build on, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
Even that card, the R9390, is excellent.
Yeah.
And as good as the 2700K is, I feel like that's probably the most dated thing in here. So, and also from an aesthetic standpoint, that's probably also the best way that you could upgrade the look of your system, is get a new motherboard. And obviously you have to go with a new CPU with that too. So, yeah,
yeah. So
that's what I would say.
cool. All right.
That's what I would say.
Thank you, Evan.
Thanks, Evan. Next up, we've got Adonai.
Adonai Zavaleta.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for mispronouncing it, but you've got an AMD FX 8350, a Gigabyte 990 FXA UD3, HyperX DDR3 kit of 1866, 4 gigs by 2, and an MSI Radeon 7850 Twin Frozer 2 GDDR5. Okay, cable management comes to mind, I guess, right off the bat. Looks like wires are just sort of just going from A to B the shortest way they can without any sort of thought of cable grommets or routing holes. Extensions would do you some favors as well. As we've mentioned in the past, ketchup and mustard is not the most ideal when it comes to tricking out the look of your system overall.
I'm curious if... Alright, so you've got an 8-pin, like your supplemental CPU connector, which is routed here. I mean,
underneath
the
graphics
I'll be
card.
honest, if you're going to route it this way, this is the way you should do it. You passed it through that very small gap between the graphics card and the I.O. in the back and the PCIe slot, which there's just barely enough space to fit a cable through. But like Kyle said, getting cable extensions and utilizing the cable management on this case, because you do have space behind the motherboard tray here with this half case from Cooler Master. You might not have enough room or enough length on this cable to get it up and around.
But with
and
an
plugged
extension,
in.
yeah.
But an extension might allow you to do that. It would also allow you to do that with the 24 pin. And then beyond that, like...
Not to mention he's got the shroud by the power supply that could fit a lot of that excess cabling.
Yeah, where you can
You know
tuck
what I
some
mean?
stuff in.
Right. If he doesn't have much room behind the motherboard tray, that would be a good option.
Beyond that, the cables that are sticking out are like fan cables and that kind of thing. So for that, you'd probably have to either sleeve them or buy new fans or something like that, which may or may not be worth your while. But at least I'd say, like getting some... I don't know, some, what's the spray stuff, you know what I'm talking about?
No.
No.
I don't.
What
stuff?
It's a spray.
So what's
it's
spray
not
stuff?
Spray paint, but it's like plastic.
Oh, Plastidip.
Plastidip. That's
There
it.
you go.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Plastidip. Might be a quick way of tidying up those cables if that's a concern for you.
That could work. But thank you very much, Adonai, for that submission.
Thank you.
That is going to conclude it for Pin My PC. We can move on to some tech news here. The first of which comes from Reddit, actually. This is a Redditor who spotted a product page on ncix.com. I feel like I always have to say ncix.com in Dimitri's voice. ncix.com.
Is that how he does it?
I mean, they're a partner, so they
they do the ads.
frequent shout outs and stuff. But there have been there's actually been an X299 board that's been listed on ncx.com that's allegedly only supporting Kaby Lake X. This would be the first of which that we've heard of. This was the MSI X299M Gaming Pro Carbon AC, which is a micro ATX motherboard. And on the product page, it states, support, and I quote, support 7th gen Intel Kaby Lake X processors only.
Where does it say that?
Go up to the top, perhaps. Right there.
Here.
Yep. So there's not even a picture. There's
No
not even a
pictures.
picture attached to it, so it makes it a little bit sketchy. But I guess we could just sort of discuss this in the sense that, does this make sense to have X299 motherboards only supporting Kaby Lake X processors? I feel like it makes the whole launch seem a little less confusing in the sense that if you were to have Kaby Lake X exclusive motherboards, you would have you wouldn't need to have 8 DIMM slots, that's for sure. You could get away with 4.
We need more beer.
And we need more beer. So what should we do about that? Why? What are wives for?
So let me just continue what Kyle was saying there. I am pissed off. I am super pissed off about whatever it is that Kyle was talking about. I was paying very close attention, and I'm very familiar with the things he was talking about. They're upsetting to me, and I just want to communicate that with you guys. That me being upset is a thing. It's a result of what Kyle was talking about, and there's no debate here. There's nothing to argue about. It's fucked up. It's a fucked up situation. Just gonna have to deal with it. I hope he comes back with more beer soon.
I had to get the beers myself.
Oh,
Because
geez.
Heather was already downstairs cooking dinner. She's completely useless.
What the hell is she doing? Cooking dinner when she's supposed to be getting a beer?
That woman.
The hell?
They're not even sandwiches. Okay. Here you go, sir.
Thank you.
All right. So what were we saying? We were talking about Kaby Lake X exclusive motherboards. So, in theory,
That's what we were talking about.
if that were the case, you would have fewer traces and fewer PCB layers that would have to be engineered into the board, because Kaby Lake X, let's be honest, can't support a lot of things that Skylake X can. So it doesn't make sense to have a single motherboard that has to support a range of 6 CPUs ranging from 16 to 44 PCIe lanes.
I'll say this.
So in that sense, it would be a cheaper board overall for the end user, which
Micro ATX or Mini ATX, I don't know that there's going to be the possibility of Mini ATX with this platform. It's the same socket size. It uses the same coolers as
It's huge.
X99, and ASRock did do a mini ITX X99 motherboard, so
yeah, one board,
so that's possible.
and it was also kind of
Wait,
wonky.
wasn't there that one with the SO DIMMs on it? Did we talk about that?
An
Whatever.
X2?
I'll figure it out later. But point being, if they were going to make a KB Lake X only version of an X299 motherboard, doing it in a smaller form factor would at least make somewhat more sense, because the missing PCI Express lanes for connectivity from the KB Lake X processor would not be able to be used anyway, because you don't have those
Smaller board.
Those extra expansion slots towards the bottom. I will say in my video about KB Lake X and the X299 platform, and talking about what happens with different motherboards when you plug in that 16-lane processor, that's one thing that always happened. That bottommost PCI Express expansion slot was pretty much just
Completely
always
useless.
gone. Like,
Yeah.
it just didn't function anymore. So,
Right.
smaller board, you don't need that slot anyway,
Yeah.
then maybe that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And the thing I've been considering is, if you wanted to make, right now, even with the advent of Threadripper, the fastest gaming system possible, you'd probably
KB Lake
do it.
X.
You'd probably do it on KB Lake X.
True.
So
True. And here's the other thing is, like, while a micro ATX version of a KB Lake X exclusive X299 motherboard would make more sense than what's currently available, I still feel like overall that still makes less sense than just having KB Lake X on Z270. Because at the end of the day, even if you're able to reduce the price of an X299 board to the price of an entry-level Z270 board that would support KB Lake X, you're still losing out on the iGPU, in a sense. So I just don't see why there's a need to migrate to a completely new platform. I feel like this is a processor. KB Lake X is a processor family that should be eligible to just upgrade from a Z270 platform. If you have a 7700K, you should just be able to take that out and swap in a KB Lake X chip. There should be no need to swap out the motherboard as well.
it should have been a double socket.
It should have been. That would have been epic AF.
So if you look at Gamers Nexus, for example, Steve and friends have a delidding. You have a deleted 7740X.
I do.
So did you look at the PCB?
The PCB of the chip?
Yeah, it's a double PCB.
Is it?
Yeah. There's the wider PCB that's the same size as all of the LGA 2066 CPUs.
Uh-huh.
And then there's a secondary substrate that's above it that sits on top of that.
You're talking about underneath the IHS,
Yeah,
right?
under the IHS.
No. Mine was already sort of melded together, so I didn't want to take it apart or anything like that.
Oh, so yours was delidded, but you never actually separated it?
Correct. It was given to me already delidded and put back on.
Oh.
So I never got to see the actual die underneath.
Oh,
it was
okay.
just,
Well, if
CPU
you
itself.
watch the Gamers Nexus video, that's one
Uh-huh.
of the things that they talk about
Right.
is the fact that there's this weird situation where you have a PCB for the LGA 2066, and then you have what looks like a smaller PCB that's kind of integrated up on top of that for the KB Lake X CPUs. So obviously this isn't a thing and everything, but how crazy would it be if you could just pop that off, and it was somehow socketed in there, and it was just a 7700K, and then you can take any 7700K and pop it in that little adapter and then slot it into 2066.
that would be fun.
That would be so much more practical,
Yep.
and then you have an upgrade path. Grab your 7700K Z270 system right now, and then in a few months, when X299 board prices come down, grab one of those,
Yeah.
get the little adapter, pop in your 7700K, and then you've got an upgraded path all the way.
Right.
Wow, Intel could have had such a different reaction to this entire platform if they had only somehow figured out how to do that. Which is probably entirely impossible
Yep.
with the Z height and everything.
Modular
But
CPUs.
that would be, that would
Food
be
for thought,
interesting.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. At any rate, at the end of the day, the feedback on this launch has been overall very mixed. You guys can let us know what you think about it in chat. I believe we just got our Core i9 samples from Intel
Yes.
today. So this is obviously a full 24 hours plus after the NDA has lifted, and I personally feel, I don't know about you, Paul, but I feel like the pressure to create content around the CPU after long after the NDA has lifted has sort of diminished to a degree.
I see it as a challenge
Yep.
to make content that's a little bit more different and perhaps unique.
Yeah,
Like-
than just a standard review.
Yeah, so like for instance, if I had gotten the 7900X a week ago, I would have run benchmarks on it, and I would have done a video that was a pretty standard benchmark video, which we saw a good amount of with 7900X, and even people who had 7800Xs and 7020Xs yesterday. There were plenty of excellent reviews from Anantech.
Yep.
I read PC Perspective.
True.
Gamers Nexus had very excellent reviews, testing lots of different softwares in lots of different situations.
Yeah.
And like the AVX 512 stuff and all that kind of stuff. But I got quite a few comments on my video because I wasn't able to do that kind of review because of time and when I got the processor and everything. But I was kind of forced to do. I was like, all right, I need to do something that's a little different, a bit of a different take on this. And I actually think it kind of worked out well because people are like, a lot of times when there's these embargo lifts, a lot of the tech reviewers all post kind of the same contents.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now, like, some of the stuff's a little bit more mixed up. So,
Yeah. It's the same reason why I was kind of excited that I was given a delidded chip, because I knew it would be something a little bit different than what most reviewers would have. And I feel like, based on like the feedback and stuff, that people were interested to see what Kaby Lake X delidded could do, especially because, it is known for the higher IPC than the Core i9 Skylake X area.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I totally know what you mean. And I think your video turned out really well, honestly.
Thank you.
It was a nice,
I,
refreshing launch video.
So if
for
you
a big
guys, if
product
any
like
guys
that.
watch my video and you're at all interested in the behind the scenes stuff, my video I was intending, because I shot the stuff for that video, I sent it over to my editor Joe on Sunday morning, and then I had some Father's Day stuff to do Sunday afternoon and evening, and then I came back and he had the edit done, and I took it, and then yesterday I spent like another 8 hours on the video, basically because I was like, I need to make this more accessible for people, so I did a bunch of graphics and like little arrows that pop up at things, just like that kind of thing, like all those little things, every little element like that like takes a bit of time, so I spent a lot of time on that to try to make it as accessible for people as possible. So if you guys haven't checked it out, please do.
Nice.
The feedback has been really good, so awesome. Thanks to all you guys who have been saying good things about that and sharing it and everything.
For sure. All right. So I guess on that note, we can move on to our next story, which is about FutureMark announcing their test driver benchmark automation software.
Oh, yeah.
This is probably more exciting news for reviewers like me and Paul, or perhaps people who are like analysts or hardware companies and things like that. This is basically an article, first off, from Tech Power Up, so thank you guys. Automation software for reviewers that is going to let users script and automate your own selection of benchmarks. So while there are no built-in benchmarks that are a part of this suite itself, it is going to allow us to script any sort of automated benchmarks that we want to run with this program. So that's pretty cool. FutureMark is offering email support to customers for integrating benchmarks with the app. This is a huge thing potentially for me and Paul and other reviewers like us, because benchmarking takes a lot of time. I mean, at the end, like, I guess in the big picture of things, like, you could just boil it down to just clicking some settings, tuning some settings and hitting run. But if you could actually,
it's like if you're reviewing something and you've run benchmarks before, it's like, I know the next 5 benchmarks I'm going to run. I know the settings I'm going to set them to.
Right.
And it's like, if I can have software that automatically recognizes when one is done and queues up the next one and records the information and everything and does that work of me, then I can move on to doing other stuff like getting footage of the product I'm talking about, or testing something else.
Because this is the main problem with benchmarking for me. When you're benchmarking for a big launch or something like that, it's the fact that you have to keep an eye on it regularly. So you can set something to auto run or whatever. Like, let's say it's Metro Last Light. It has a nice built-in benchmark. You can set it to run, but as soon as it's done, after that 2 or 3 minute phase, you have to set it to go again for the next resolution that you want to test at, and then you have to switch that to your next game. Let's say it's GTA 5. You constantly have to babysit your benchmark system. With an automated software like this, if you could just script all of that, it would save a tremendous amount of time, and you could actually go about filming, let's say, a 10-15 minute video without any sort of interruptions and still get all of your benchmarking done at the same time, which would be a tremendous time savings for the average reviewer. So something like this is something to get excited about. I feel like if you are a reviewer yourself, or you just have a reason to test your PC hardware, this is pretty cool. Again, FutureMark is offering email support to customers right off the bat who need help integrating the benchmarks with the app.
It's also one of the things that so there's lots of well-known, established, trusted review websites out there, and there's quite a few of them that
WCCF Tech.
That's not who I was referring to.
Oh.
But there's quite a few of them that have some level of automation that they've developed kind of homebrewed
Right.
into their testing, and that they're very secretive about.
Which I don't know how to do that. If I did, I would sure as hell wouldn't share with you.
Well,
I'd save it, hoard it to myself.
I mean, anytime you can look at a review and you can see like just the lists and lists of benchmarks they have with a bunch of different processors and a bunch of different configurations and everything, time goes into creating all those numbers, and anything that can be done to reduce the amount of time that goes into those numbers is extremely helpful for anyone who's a full-time reviewer.
Indeed.
So yeah,
I agree.
Alright.
Next up, we've got an article about the Microsoft Surface laptop, which recently received a 0 out of 10
that's a great score.
for repairability. This is an article from overclock3d.net. iFixit, the very popular sort of deconstructed company, gave it a 0 out of 10 for repairability, calling it not a laptop, but a glue-filled monstrosity.
Glue-filled monstrosity.
Which I would imagine means you cannot really take it apart. It's kind of glued together. If you were to service or maintenance it in any way, you'd probably have to take it to a Microsoft expert, which seems very Apple-esque, IMO. Even iFixit experts, according to the article, were unable to dissect the device without inflicting major damage. That's not great. And they even claim the battery is dangerous to replace.
Dangerous
to replace, because you could puncture something. There might be some lithium ion gas that leaks out and impregnates you or something. That's how it works, right? So the other thing is that the CPU, memory, and onboard storage are all non-replaceable. This is not a very pro-consumer product in terms of servicing and upgradability. iFixit went on to say that this is not a fix-it-yourself device. It forces users, well, they didn't say this, but the article went on to say that this sort of forces users to get the longest warranty possible in case they ever need the laptop serviced or replaced. So that kind of sucks. I mean, I feel like usually, like if I go to like a store or even like buy something on Amazon, like a device like this, and it asks me, do you want the extended warranty? I always say no.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, I can just fix it myself. I have no problem doing it myself. I don't need someone else to handle this for me. But if I were buying this device, I feel like I would be sort of more or less pressured into buying into the extended warranty, just knowing that I could not just take a screwdriver to the dome and crack it open myself without doing some serious damage to the system. So
I always say no to the extended warranty for a different reason.
Because warranty, because you know you're gonna avoid it anyway.
Because I used to work at Newegg, and I know how much pure profit
Is off of warranties.
is in those extended warranties.
Yeah. Well, warranties are never for because you're likely going to use it. It's for like the people who are scared and are
It's for
fearful.
the small percentage of people who actually need it. But
It's not going to apply to you most likely.
But the extended warranties are mostly pure profit for anyone who sells them.
Of course. You know the margins on them, and that makes it a bit more skeptical to buy into them. Absolutely. So I don't know. Just beware if you're going to buy a Microsoft Surface laptop. Then
and hey, if Microsoft catches any flack for this, for the fact that they built their Surface laptop essentially like a MacBook with everything glued together
Then
and,
so
and
be
no
it.
upgradability
They
or anything
deserve
like that,
Every shred of it.
then maybe the next time around they'll
Make
take
it
some
a
more
bit more
consideration to providing some expandability or something like that. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe it's just really challenging to build something that's that small and light and everything without just gluing all the shit together.
No, you can totally do it.
Yeah.
They're lazy. Being lazy. All right. Next article is about a web host that has agreed recently to pay $1 million after being hit by a Linux.
Linux.
Wow.
I
almost said Linus.
Linus ransomware.
By a Linux targeting ransomware.
It's
A Linus targeting ransomware would be a
The
thing
latest
of beauty.
way that Linus Media Group is making tons of money.
Well, I believe their Twitter account's been hacked before, so that was a Linus.
Oh!
A Linus targeting
Too
ransomware
soon.
for sure.
Too soon, Kai.
Too soon. So this article comes from Ars Technica. Thank you very much, folks over there. This is about a South Korean web host, Nyana. Probably some relation to Nyan Cat. They said that their initial ransom was nearly $4.5 million, but the company negotiators brought it down and eventually settled for just over $1 million paid to a ransomware operation that encrypted the data stored on 153 Linux servers and 3,400 customer websites. So you're like, let's say you're like GoDaddy or something, and you basically get hacked or you get stuck with this ransomware where 3,400 of your customers are now complaining and out of a website and can't log on or whatever, can't service their own users. And so you end up paying $1 million to get all of that encryption handled. That's a lot of money. $1 million to some scumbag attackers is pretty insane. The ransomware itself, for those of you curious to know how you could get $1 million in the future, is Erebus.
Erebus?
Erebus? Paul, you're better at pronouncing things than I am. Is it Erebus?
Erebus.
I'm going to say Erebus. Erebus was previously limited to attacking Windows-based systems, but was recently modified to infiltrate those running Linux as well. So it's possible that the attackers also exploited a backdoor or a vulnerability into the web hosting service's loosely patched software. So apparently the South Korean web host wasn't all that solid to begin with in terms of its backdoor prevention and things like that. The question here is, I was thinking about this earlier, like after reading this article, would you pay off a ransomware attacker or an operation if they hijacked some sort of digital property that was deemed important to you, such as maybe your YouTube channel? They were holding it hostage. People couldn't view your content or whatever, and they were demanding a ransom, and they guaranteed you, and let's say you knew that they were good with their word, that if you paid them the allotted amount, that they would restore your YouTube channel back to normal. Would you pay up? Would you honor the ransom, or would you hold back and sort of, say F you?
I think it's important to distinguish the difference here between something like ransomware and something like a YouTube channel being taken over or something like that. If they were to take over my YouTube channel, that would be something like, they would need to get my passwords or something like that. They would need to basically be able to take control of my channel by accessing the accounts that control that channel.
Sure.
Ransomware is something more like there's been an infiltration on these servers. All of the data that's in there has been encrypted. The data is now encrypted, and you need the encryption key in order to de-encrypt it so you can access the information that's being stored.
Right.
So what I would say is, in this situation where it's something like my channel is being compromised or something like that, I can't say exactly how I would respond to that, but I would at least, in theory, have some expectation that YouTube has some backups in place. There's been plenty of situations in the past where channels have been taken over and the hacker goes in and deletes all the videos or something like that, but then YouTube's able to go in and restore everything. So in that situation, I might be more inclined to say, you know what, I'm not going to work with these hackers. I'm not going to pay them any money, because based on everything, I am confident enough that I can get in touch with YouTube and that they can work through this situation to restore my channel.
Yeah.
In this situation, you have a business that's specifically providing internet. They're providing web hosting for lots of other companies that work for them, and all of the data that those companies have provided to the web hosting company has now been encrypted and is now locked unless they do something about it. So in this situation, it's a web hosting company that has negotiated with the hackers to cut the $4.5 million ransom down to $1 million to get something that the hackers get paid, the company gets their information back, the customers of that company get their information back,
right?
and they can restore their services and continue to provide them with the services that presumably those third-party companies are paying some kind of fee to that company for.
Right.
So in this case, obviously the hackers are shitty and shouldn't be ransoming stuff, but everyone kind of gets paid and they're kind of distributing to the point where they can continue doing business. Obviously it's going to hurt their bottom line, but I think it's a slightly different situation than some individual who gets their contents who gets a virus on their computer or something like that says encryption on everything.
So you're saying if they hijack your YouTube channel, you wouldn't pay them off because YouTube can technically have the backups to restore your channel back to normal, whereas if you were a web hosting service like this one that we're talking about, then you're kind of more on your own and you'd be more subject to...
No, I think in this situation, the web hosting service made a business decision.
Yeah.
They were like, look, it's going to cost us this much money to get our data back, or it's going to cost us this much money because all the companies that are doing business with us are going to go elsewhere because suddenly their websites don't work anymore.
But doesn't that also send a message to other operations that you are willing to pay up if people are just able to encrypt your data? That's why we don't negotiate with terrorists as Americans, because then it seems like they have a grip over us. To some degree, there's leverage there that you've now established, saying, I'll pay up whatever you ask for. I mean, maybe it'll be negotiated, but at the end of the day, you'll get something out of attacking me.
I think you or I, coming from a separate, not having money invested in this situation,
we don't have money at all,
can say that, because yes, if the hackers never get money, then theoretically the hackers will stop doing the stuff because they're not profiting from it.
True.
But from the business perspective of this company, they probably did what was in their best interest as a business. And theoretically, if they're talking about this amount of money that's being transferred back or one way or the other to get their data back, they're going through channels that are in some way secure or have some assurance of getting the money back. So yeah. Obviously, it's not an ideal situation.
Sure.
But what I would say anyone who is looking at this story should take into consideration is that whereas Windows has for quite a while been the playground of hacking and viruses and everything because it's the most used operating system by the most individuals who are the least likely to have proper protections in place for viruses and malware and that kind of thing.
Yep.
To understand and appreciate that there is a realm of hacking beyond that does influence Linux and that does potentially influence Apple platforms, and that they're not exempt from that, and they need to be careful, and they need to put the proper protections in place as well.
It's a very thorough answer.
I don't know. That's the most I can say about that.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, Paul.
Okay.
But I think that's probably about as much time we want to spend on that for now. So let's go ahead and move on to our last article with the tech news for today, which is about the Supreme Court striking down North Carolina law prohibiting sex offenders from using social media, saying that it's unconstitutional. So good old Justice Kennedy said, and I quote, "A fundamental principle of the First Amendment is that all persons have access to places where they can speak and listen, and then, after reflection, speak and listen once more." Of course, adding that digital spacing, including Facebook and Twitter, are also protected under the First Amendment. So, the case in question that was centered around this whole thing was centered around a sex offender. Okay, just imagine sex offender. All right, we all know what that looks like. who was prosecuted after making a Facebook post about beating a traffic ticket. He made a post about beating a traffic ticket, saying, "Thank God, I can't believe I got out of that traffic ticket. What good luck I have." That was it. There was nothing about, like, you know, touching little kids or any sort of weird sexual activity thing like that. It was just a regular Facebook post. But yet he was prosecuted for making that statement online. And so, based on the court sort of statistics here, apparently over 1,000 people in North Carolina have been prosecuted for violating the law. Whether it's, you know, you're posting a picture of your kid, or you're saying just, you know, "Oh, I feel great today" on Facebook or Twitter, you can get fined in North Carolina. But Mr. Kennedy, Justice Kennedy, was like, no, I'm going to drop some more wisdom on you. And he went on to say, by prohibiting sex offenders from using those websites, North Carolina, with one broad stroke, bars access to what, for many, are the principal sources for knowing current events, checking ads for employment, speaking and listening in the modern public square, and otherwise exploring the vast realms of human thought and knowledge. I feel like Kennedy knows what's going on here, Justice Kennedy here. So, I mean, at the end of the day, even if you're a heinous sex offender, social media has gotten to the point now with the breadth of the internet and just how common it is. I feel like it's the same as talking in a way, right? It's just the ability to express yourself on a completely different platform, whether it be talking to a person in real life, or someone on the phone, or through the internet. I mean, we're not going to ban sex offenders from speaking in public, or from calling their friends on the telly. So I feel, you know, I think me and the judge share the same mentality, where it's like, well, you know, social media is just another platform for communication. You shouldn't you should ban them from playgrounds, okay? Ban them from playgrounds maybe, but not from Instagram necessarily, unless they're posting, you know, dick pics to teenagers. That's a different story. But for the most part, I feel like I sort of stand by this ruling. It is possible, however, that there are specific websites like those aimed at young people, like it's, you know, teenflesh.com. All right.
What?
I don't even know if that's a website. I don't know where that URL came from. You should probably.
I hope it's not. What if that's an actual like horrible website that people now?
Then everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, Kyle's
that
definitely."
people now think that you're like a regular patron of or something like that. That's awful.
Okay, I don't know why I said that, but
anyway, I don't know why we're discussing this story in general. This is such a. There's so many potholes with discussion,
and I welcome them. I welcome them with every.
They should block people from free speech. Yeah, you're not gonna have anyone arguing with that. Like, sex offenders should be able to have more freedoms. Yeah, no one's gonna argue with that either.
I'm not a pedo.
This is a horrible thing to discuss.
Chat has already turned against me, calling me a pedo.
Right.
I'm not a pedo. Good Lord. I'm simply reporting on a topic that was.
This story requires like some subtle, nuanced, discussion of some details that I feel like we're completely incapable of providing right now.
Let's just get hashtag Kyle's a pedo in chat.
Yeah,
let's get that trending on Twitter ASAP. Tweet my wife. She'll be so thrilled to hear that I've been a part of this movement.
She's not watching the show live?
No, I highly doubt it, and for good reason. But she'll probably find out eventually. Anyway, hashtag Kyle's a pedo. I've never been more proud. Let's move on to our next. Let's move on to our next segment, which is the games report.
Yay, games!
Yay! Let's talk about video games where pedophilia is not even anywhere near the conversation.
That sounds good.
I love this topic.
It's a great idea.
Let's talk about, first off, Hitman being available for free.
Yeah.
There's a loophole there. Only the beginning of Hitman. It says play the beginning of Hitman for free,
beginning.
not the entirety of Hitman. So IO Interactive, by the way, this comes from overclock3d.net. Thank you very much for the article. Thank you for people who have already clipped the teenflesh.com segment. Love you, Stastroth D3. Beautiful. All right, so IO Interactive, which is the developer for this game, has announced that they're making the opening of Hitman 2016 free to play for gamers on all platforms: PC, Xbox One, PS4, and all those other inferior platforms, giving them access to the game's ICA facility missions with no strings attached. So you don't have to buy into anything. You can just play some of the first 2 missions, I believe, of the game completely free, just as sort of a promo offer. And it includes 2 story missions, 2 escalation contracts, and overall 40 challenge missions,
Nice.
which should keep you entertained for a while. The free downloadable version launches today. IO Interactive has also stated that they are going to reduce the cost of the game with a 60% discount for a limited time.
Oh.
So if you were sort of on the fence about picking up the newest Hitman game, now might be the chance to do it. Now might be the time to take advantage of that. Stop hashtagging Kyle Zapito. All right. Yeah, Hitman. I use it for benchmarking. I'm sure Paul does too, once in a while.
Not for a while, but
Not for a while, but
we usually take care of the Hitman benchmarks.
yeah. Hitman's fun. You can hide bodies in dumpsters and all that sort of thing. Next up, we've got Diablo 2. A potential remaster might be happening. This
Ooh.
is an article from PC Gamer. PC Games N spotted a job listing for Classic Games in Irvine, California, for the UI and UX visual designer.
Look at how Diablo 2 used to look like.
Yeah,
Look at that.
it looks like shit. It looks like total
I
asshole.
kind of want to go play it. Like
Like my butthole
all these skeletons,
could
one of
have
them
developed a better
one of
game.
them might have dropped a legendary though. Any of those skeletons could drop a legendary.
And it would still look like shit.
You should keep killing those skeletons until one of them drops a legendary.
Always kill the skeleton.
And then if the RNG on the specs on the legendary don't fall... wait, no. See, I'm getting confused now.
Uh-oh.
Because there was a point in time with the legendaries, like there was random specs, and then there were fixed specs. I don't know. I played Diablo 2 like twice.
I've never played Diablo 2, actually.
For 3 months, I
be
played
honest.
and it was all I did. Like that was my entire life was Diablo 3 or Diablo 2. It was like 3 months.
3 months.
All I did was Diablo 2, and then it's like, oh god, I'm
I'm wiped out.
like I'm awake now. I'm awake. I'm fine. And then like 5 or 6 months went by where I didn't play at all, and then like for something happened, I was like, maybe I'll try that again. And then like 2 more months went by, and I was like, oh god, all I've done is played Diablo 2 for 2 solid months.
It's ruining my life.
Like my education has gone to shit. Like I dropped out of school.
Oh, that's very
Like,
unfortunate.
yeah.
See, I'm lucky enough
Like-
to have been in college when Diablo 2 was not at its
You're right.
peak.
It's very
So I feel
addictive.
like that's probably the make or break. Whether or not you graduate from college is based on when Diablo 2 launched during that period.
See, look like this.
The Juggernaut.
The enemies that would spawn, and they'd have. He's like a demon. He's extra strong. He's extra fast, and then he's
Kurdiger.
whatever that last
Kurdiger.
thing is.
Kurdiger.
Like there were random enemies that could spawn. Like if they had the wrong combination of immunities that you couldn't touch.
Right.
It would just be like they destroy you, because like anything you did healed them, because like I cast fire spells, like they absorb fire and it heals them. There's nothing I can do. Like they're gonna die.
I'll just whip him with my whip.
Yeah, but it was challenging, and that's why a lot of people were into it.
Yeah. I feel like Diablo 2 definitely made waves that Diablo 3 did not. And I feel like since Diablo 3 was so highly anticipated following a legendary title, that it just sort of fell short of the mark of what Diablo 2 instilled in PC gamers back in the day. Because you have to remember, Diablo 2 launched in 2000, whereas Diablo 3 was 12 years later in 2012. So there was a lot of hype being built up for a sequel, and when Diablo 3 finally dropped, it didn't quite have the same magical effect on its users that
the cow
the
level.
predecessor did.
The cow level as well. The cow
Cow
level
level?
is legendary. I also had the problem of there was this economy, like, right, if you played World of Warcraft, starting in 2005 up through now or whatever, World of Warcraft has an economy, like a lot of the World of Warcraft economy, and I think how they sort of tried to craft that was based around certain things that just developed naturally from the Diablo 2 economy. Like in Diablo 2, the default item that you would use as the basic level of trade was a Stone of Jordan, which was a unique a ring that would fall, and somehow people would collect enough of them that they could like trade them back and forth. And I remember just trying to play enough of the game and gather enough loot and scrape it all together in enough pile that I could trade it to stuff, just that I could get one Stone of Jordan, like to that point. And then people are like, "Oh, like 40 Stones of Jordan for this like thing or whatever." I'm like, "What?
Screw you!"
Yeah, like it's ridiculous or whatever. So, anyway,
the old school cryptocurrency.
Yeah, good old Stones of Jordan.
We should do some Stones of Jordan crypto mining.
Yeah, that would be a great cryptocurrency.
Let's
like
bring that back.
A name for a cryptocurrency. Stones of Jordan. That'd be awesome.
I just mined 20 Stones of Jordan recently. Yeah, but just get some Ethereum bullshit.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to our next topic. This is going to be the last topic we talk about. You can ignore the other tabs that are in there because we're cutting it off so that we have, we're fitting in time here. But users are mad. You guys are so mad.
Super mad.
So mad about mods being taken away in GTA 5. Rightfully so. This is an article from GameSpot. Commenting on Rockstar's parent company, Take-Two, who has shut down the popular modding tool Open4, or OpenIV, which is leading many gamers to lash out with negative reviews and petitions. So, modding, as we all know, in GTA 5 is a huge thing. People mod in GTA 5, whether it be upgrades or modifications to the car mechanics, the vehicle mechanics in the game, the weapon mechanics, being able to play as the Incredible Hulk and jump around and scale buildings, or be Spider-Man, or whatever the heck it is. Modding has been a huge community. It's been a huge community in GTA 5 in the last year or two. But that has all been sort of shut down in a sense with Open4, which is a huge modding tool, a huge modding software, being shut down by Take-Two, the parent company of Rockstar.
Look at the recent reviews
on
Steam are overwhelmingly negative.
Yes, so of the 42,000 user reviews written in the last 30 days, only 13% have been positive, labeling the game's average user feedback rating on Steam as overwhelmingly negative. Wow. Now, this is a game that has sold over 80 million copies. That was overwhelmingly positive before this whole ordeal, but just the fact that Take-Two has taken away mods and gone out of their way to eliminate the modding community for this game has resulted in a complete backlash across the board when it comes to how the game's being received. So, the top review, according to this article, states... the top review simply states, on behalf of the Open4 team, ********************************** with hearts in place of the asterisks. I would imagine there's a not so pleasant word in place of those hearts.
They probably mean fuck you.
They probably mean fuck you. Yeah, thank you, Paul, for stating the obvious. Now that's been edited now to include a link that leads to a petition on change.org, which requests Rockstar allow the continuation of Open4, claiming all modding used by Open4 is for single-player use only, to make the game more enjoyable. The software Open4 was never used to mod multiplayer or Grand Theft Auto Online, so it doesn't harm anyone. Now, this is a claim that Rockstar disputes, saying that Open4 enables recent malicious mods that allow harassment of players and interfere with the GTA 5 online experience for everybody. So here's the deal. Rockstar doesn't really seem to care whether or not you use mods for single player. It's their GTA 5 online that they care about, because that's how they make their money.
That makes sense.
They make their money by people spending real IRL dough for GTA 5 bucks so that they can buy a yacht or a Maserati or whatever the hell. But if people are modding in online use, then they're potentially just giving money away. I mean, I remember being in a server once in GTA 5 Online, completely unbeknownst to me, some guy just ran up to me and just started like dropping, like he did some like weird voodoo thing. And he's like, okay, walk around, like move around, like start walking. And I started walking, and everywhere I walked, just money would fall out of my butt, and I'd like come around and like go around and pick it up. I was like basically eating my own money poop.
That's nice.
And I was like, this is weird, but I love money, so I'm gonna do it. And so I guess that's what Rockstar is really trying to combat here. But obviously the backlash has been tremendous, and so already the petition here has already signed 55,000 signatures of its 75K goal. But in the grand scheme of things, that's still a very small fraction when you consider the total user base of GTA 5 selling over 80 million copies. It's hard to believe that this sort of petition will really change Take-Two's mind on how they're going to better protect the integrity of GTA 5 Online. So
ultimately,
there you go.
like I understand them trying to protect their online environment. Not only do they have a vested interest in making sure that people can't use hacks or other software workarounds to get themselves money rather than paying Rockstar for the in-game money, but also they have a vested interest in making sure that the online experience remains at least relatively fair for people, and that people can't use hacks or anything like that to gain an advantage over other players that they might have otherwise had to spend, tons and tons of times in game to, get those resources or that kind of thing. At the same time, though, like with PC gaming, like the modding community is huge. Like that's one of the big reasons why PC gaming is so awesome, is because there's so many games that have come out that have had some base level of functionality or base level of gameplay that people have enjoyed so much that they've gone and taken whatever open source tools are made available by the game developers to actually take that game and bring it to new heights by developing new versions of it or whatever. Like, look at something like Dota or like League of Legends. Like, none of that would have existed if it wasn't for Blizzard's making the modding tools for StarCraft and for World of Warcraft available for people to create a completely new, different style of game.
Yeah.
That hadn't existed before.
Well, I feel like that's one of the things that makes the PC platform unique, is the ability to create modifications in games and sort of breathe new life into the game. I feel like if I were a developer, that it would almost be like flattery to me that people were modifying my game and sort of, kind of adding, like contributing to it. I feel like that's exactly what I would want for a video game I would personally develop. But I guess when you're on the scale of Rockstar and Take-Two, where you are simply just in it for the money and you're trying to profit 100% off of it through in-game transactions, then something like mods poses a potential threat. I feel like if there were zero mods that affected the monetary gain of users, that we probably wouldn't be seeing this sort of exodus from modifications.
I don't think they would take action unless it was
affecting
unless it was hurting their bottom line.
Yeah.
But it would be good to see some sort of in between. Like, I'd love to see Rockstar develop their software, whatever tools they currently have in place to prevent people who have modified software from affecting their game, especially when it comes to the online situation.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them develop that further to create more of a separation between the single player and the multiplayer environment, so multiplayer can still exist and Rockstar can still make their money, but single player can still have a
mods.
Full like flourishing modding community as well.
Yeah.
Like I'd like to see that kind of best of both worlds.
And that's like sort of the shitty thing about this, is that it's the very few modders in the community who are giving like money away in online that are ruining it for the rest of us who just want like nice texture packs in GTA 5. Like, what's the harm in having better graphics and having better visual fidelity in your single player campaign?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. But because some asshole decided to give $5 trillion to some dude on an online server somewhere, none of us can have access to that. So it is It is just like sort of the typical, herd mentality, or like, just how society is. One person ruins the whole bunch for the rest of us, and it's kind of unfortunate. And I totally empathize with all of the negative reviews that are going around to Rockstar right now. But I don't know. All I can say is stay strong. Hopefully we can, that this doesn't dishearten the modding community in the long run, and that we can still see some really awesome mods for other games moving forward, and potentially even GTA 6 when that debuts one day. So, on that note, though,
Yes.
that's going to close it out for tech news and games reports. Let's go ahead and read off some of the donations that you guys have left in chat. This is your last chance to donate. If you want something stupid that's read aloud by me and Paul, go ahead and donate in chat right now. Otherwise, forever hold your peace. The first of which is from Nenad Bagarik, or Bajarik. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that. It's for 5 Canadian, and it's just 5 Canadian. There's no message attached to that. So
Yay.
thank you very much, Nenad.
Nenad.
Appreciate that. Andrew Emil for the $5. What is a good
Andrew.
budget gaming monitor? Family man on a budget. So, I would say budget is probably under 250. I'm sorry, 150. I'd say under 150. I don't have anything in
look
specific.
for the best 1080 IPS.
Maybe a 27-inch.
Yeah, around 27-inch 1080 IPS. If you can get higher refresh rate than 60 hertz, look for it. If you can get better color reproduction, then 8-bit. 8-bit will be your 17.6 million colors. 10-bit will be your 1.07 billion colors.
Yeah.
But yeah, see if you can find a 10-bit IPS 1080 panel for $150-ish. And
Yeah.
that's what I would
I'd
go
say
for.
under 180 you can get a really solid monitor for the specs that Paul was listing off there.
And definitely, if you have an AMD card or if you have an
FreeSync
NVIDIA card,
is a
look
possibility.
for FreeSync with an AMD and look for G-Sync with NVIDIA.
You're not going to get a budget
You
G-Sync
will-
panel, though.
Probably won't be able to find a budget G-Sync panel, but it's definitely worth your while to look for the adaptive frame rate technology.
Indeed. Daniel Collins, $5. Already have a GTX 1070, so do I SLI or GTX 1080 Ti. Build is a i7 6800K at 4.3 gigahertz, Sabertooth X99, and so forth. I would say go for the GTX 1080 Ti.
Yeah.
Especially if you can sell your 1070 and put some of that money that you've got
You
from
could
that
probably
towards
get
the 1080 Ti.
$450 plus for your 1070 right now. Invest that in a 1080 Ti and you'll be very happy.
Yeah, I think that would probably even outperform the 1070 SLI in most of the applications. Des Jones, $10.
Jones.
Did you see all the OC 3D review on the 7820X CPU review? He OC'd it to 5 gigahertz with very low voltage, but it became a toaster.
Ew.
Equals Intel failed. Toothpaste shit instead of soldered.
Yeah,
I did not see the
there's
review.
definitely been plenty of delitting
But-
going on of the Kaby Lake X and Skylake X processors. In
Yep.
fact, when I was at Computex, that's what Der Bauer showed me, was just his stack of delitted CPUs. And definitely that's something that can be swapped out to give yourself a better overclocking experience. So
Yeah.
it's still too early to say just a blanket statement like don't do that or yes you need to do that or anything like that.
Right.
But yeah, that does seem to be an issue for a 7900X in particular. Seems to be running warm. A lot of the reviews I read said that we're getting pretty hot with that CPU.
Right.
And anything that can be done to reduce that is going to be on the table, I think, for people, especially enthusiasts.
Yeah.
And if delitting is one of those things, then so be it.
Honestly, with like DeBauer's delitting tool, how simple it works. After testing out the 7740X that I had, which was delitted, like the temperature reduction is insane.
But
It's pretty crazy.
that
being said.
the delitting tool that he, at least the one he gave me, is so he's working on the one for the LGA 2066 socket. But when it comes to the higher core count CPUs, the high core count CPUs, 12, 14, 16, and 18 cores, those actually have a much larger die that's in there. And what he said was, when you're trying to delid those, there's so little room between the heat spreader on top and the die that's underneath. You have really limited amount of room to like push it to the side, and that's what his delitting tool does. It applies pressure to the side of the heat spreader on top to move it enough to break the seal between.
So does that mean it could damage it since there's so little
Yeah.
room?
So what
Like,
he's
if
saying
you,
is
as
it's
soon as you
really
slide it, it might scrape
it's
it.
really, really, really challenging, or it's potentially going to be really, really challenging for the high core count X299 Intel processors to actually delid or to actually delid reliably, because any movement of that heat spreader on top is going to either conflict with the die itself, or it's going to conflict with other surface mount components that are on top of the PCB.
Interesting.
But all that still remains to be seen, since those high core count CPUs are still kind of like don't really exist out there. But,
Come on, DeBauer, get on it.
Yep.
Give us a good Skylake X delitter. Next up, Automatic Matt for the $5 donations. Thank you very much, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
For your patronage. No, Kyle, I never quite, and also Aorus boards don't have that hoodie I've been after. One since PAX East.
That was mostly a coherent sentence.
I'm still kind of confused. But,
I'm glad you got a hoodie from PAX East. I'm assuming
Yep.
that's what that means.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Matt. Next up, we got Tom's Bremsmitz for the 50 Norwegian Corona. I love Coronas. This time I missed Pimp My PC because I didn't have pics on my phone. Finished with finished build. Also, 980 Ti is enough for the X34 monitor. By the way, beer to the bottom, which I would imagine means drink it all.
I have to pee.
Yes. Okay. Me too. Yeah, a GTX 980 Ti would be enough for an X34 monitor.
Sufficient.
I think that's good.
You could do better,
You could, of course.
but a 980 Ti is sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, 3440 by 1440 is a lot less taxing than 4K. So I feel like while 980 Ti was not a 4K ready card like many vendors, add-in board partners advertise it to be, I feel like it's a sufficient, ultra-wide GPU at the very least.
You'll be fine, but yes,
The-
you could do a little bit better with the 1080 or 1080 Ti.
Yeah, definitely 1080 Ti. Luis Herrera, $5. How do I use my
Louis.
computer building skills to meet women? Find a woman who loves building PCs. Let me know in 35 years when that happens, because it will probably take you around that long.
I feel like you have to get pretty lucky. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Look at the male to female
That's-
viewership ratio. There was a discussion on Twitter going on about this earlier today from everyone from MKBHD down. But yeah, like mine's like 2%. I have 2% female.
I'm probably around the same.
Like if you're
I think
lucky,
we're all
if you're
around
lucky,
1 to
you can
2.
get up to 5%.
Is that what MKBHD is at? 5?
I think it was at 6, maybe something like that.
Wow, what a playa!
Yeah, pulls in the ladies.
Straight up playa. Just a bunch of chicks. Like, yeah, tell me about that smartphone.
That's totally what he does.
Let me see that frisbee golf move.
It's exactly what Marquez sounds like.
No, that's what the women that
Oh,
watch
the-
Marquez
the
sound
the
like.
women sound
I'm
like- okay.
impersonating the women.
I'm sorry, I didn't know who
Come
you
on.
were doing the impression of.
Obvious. It was
It's been made
obvious.
clear
Paul.
now.
It was
Okay.
obvious. I was on point with that impersonation. All right, Des Jones, $5. Getting tired of waiting for the new EVGA cases and the GTX 1080 Ti Hall of Fame from Galax. Are you as well? Galax, I feel like, does not prioritize the U.S. in their launches.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of their stuff launches overseas first, and then it comes to the U.S. Assuming that you are from the U.S., I feel like a lot of the samples that I've received from Galax, I've had to purchase myself from like a Taiwanese or a Chinese website, and wait quite a while for it to get to me. The ones that are available in the U.S. should arrive a bit sooner, but that's just the price you pay for super clean looking white GPUs. Am I right? I mean,
so.
they're the best in the biz. If you're looking for a white colored GPU, Galax is second to none in that sense. As far as the EVGA cases, I honestly can't help you there. I have no idea what's up with those.
They keep showing them to us.
They keep showing them to us, and they assure us that they're coming soon, but we don't have any more information on exactly when they're dropping. So, but best of luck to finding all the things that you love in life. Thank you, Des. Ryan Foss, $50. Holy Jesus.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Looking to change cases from a Corsair 600C to something nicer. Can you recommend a good, showcase for, showcases in quotations, for an X99 Strix, 6900K, 2 GTX 1080s, and a custom loop with a 360 rad and a 240 rad, based on what is out now or might be coming soon. Hard to see cases in person where I am. So a good showcase for something like that. Okay, obviously I feel like the 600C that you're working with right now is perhaps a bit limited. If you wanted to go balls to the wall and do it J style, you could go with like a Case Labs chassis, which are extremely expensive, but I feel like that's a case that you could have for life, regardless of different iterations that you make to your overall system over the years. Case Labs would be able to support you on that. Their cases are just incredibly spacious and well thought out. And also great for doing any sort of modifications as well. If you wanted just something a bit more more common and maybe a little bit more cost effective than that, then I would say let's see, you've got a 360 in there and a 240. I believe an Enthoo Evolve ATX could support that. Don't quote me on that. But that is one of my favorite cases till this day. The silver build that I did in there a couple months back was absolutely fantastic. I don't know. I always default to Fantex cases when I think of custom water cooling, just because they're so well thought out as far as like the reservoir and pump support and radiator support. Obviously, there are a lot of good cases out though right now that have excellent radiator housing. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Check out Corsair. Corsair obviously has some good stuff. Their 780T is a fantastic chassis for something like that. The 780T has 360 radiator support.
What?
The 780T, Corsair 780T has 360 rad support on the top, or the top maybe, or no?
Probably.
I believe the Fractal Design Define S has 360 at the top, with 240 at the front. So you could look into that as well. But I'm sure other people in the chat have some suggestions for you there. DDA 40 X-Man, $20 donation. Thank you very much, sir. ROG Maximus Extreme Edition 10 plus an i7 6850 CPU with 40 PCIe lanes is $1,000, or Asus Prime X299 Deluxe plus an i9 7900X 44 PCIe lanes equals $1,500. I'm thinking cheaper. Don't reward Intel for i9 debacle. Honestly, I think your $1,000 option seems a bit more price to performance oriented. Unless you're doing some serious heavy duty workstation stuff, I think the 6850 is going to be absolutely fine for your needs. ROG Maximus Extreme is going to be a fantastic board as well. Go with the $1,000 option. Save your money for some other important things. Des Jones.
A quick follow up to the previous question. The 780T supports dual 360 rads.
Ayo! Raise the roof. Alright, so I was partially right about that. Des Jones for the $5. That moment when you realize you're still running Z87 chipsets and a GTX 780 Classy that's never been OC'd like it should or water cooled. Hashtag feels bad, man.
A 780 classified. It's classified.
Come on. Well, it already comes factory overclocked.
Yeah, but you can push it more.
I mean, you could.
Get Precision X. You can overclock your 780 classified. Thanks, Des, though.
If you get that Z87, you probably overclock your chip as well. Sebastian Casella for the Rs 5050 Rs. We got Argentinian
something
rattlesnakes. Starting a 1150 build, should I go for the i5 7600K or the i7 7700K? Main use for gaming and Adobe Suite. I have this Asus Z270F Strix motherboard and a GTX 1070 Strix. I would go for the hyper-threaded chip. Go with the i7 7700K, because if you are using the Adobe Suite, it is going to benefit from multi-threaded applications. And hyper-threading does come in handy when you're talking about video editing, for example, which I would imagine you're doing in an Adobe Suite. Overall, the i7 7700K would be my best bet.
It is an Argentinian peso, and 50 Argentinian pesos is $3.10 US.
Well, beautiful. All right, I will accept that donation. Caleb Parker for the $10
Sebastian.
US. Thanks for breaking up the work.
Caleb.
Thanks for breaking up the work week. Have you thought about selling awesome hardware merch as well? Also, do you guys have any non-tech related hobbies excluding copious beer consumption? Yes, we have been thinking about selling awesome hardware merch. We're not even working on that right now, but we would like to.
So actually, and I have no idea if Brian is watching right now, but right before John went on vacation, I sent an email with the beginnings of the first steps of the prior to anything happening, to getting some awesome hardware, potentially merch.
Wow, it sounds like we're really.
I don't want to make any promises or anything like that, but But
Super vague.
Brian, aka Marixot,
Maraxot.
I don't know how to pronounce his name. He has sent us several shirts and what are the boards? The
Cornhole.
The cornhole boards
Yeah.
with really good artwork that he's done of us and everything, and we make great shirts. So hopefully we'll have some of that stuff up soon.
Yeah.
We'll
As far as other non-tech related hobbies, I
I don't know, but I try to only drink copious amounts of beers on Tuesday. I will point that out.
Yeah, for me it's like Tuesday and the weekend and maybe like Thursday, Friday.
Like for instance, this has been in my fridge all week. I didn't drink it.
It was in my fridge all week
Tuesday.
too, and I
Yeah.
didn't drink it either.
Both of us were very responsible.
Because I've just been
Super responsible.
smoking crack instead.
It's all the crack. It's hard to
Crack, my anti-drug.
It's hard to drink the beer when you're high on crack.
Crack's my anti-drug. All right. Thank you very much, Sebastian.
Sebastian.
Caleb. Humongous again for the 5 British pounds. Vape Nation. If so, have you tried Nasty Juice's Green Apple? Oh, Green Ape.
Green Ape.
Also, some vape go nicely with beer and enhance the experience. Yes, sir. I still vape occasionally. I've been vaping more recently ever since I got my unit up and working again. But it's not something that I do all the time. I might look into your recommendation there.
Special
Thank you very much.
occasions.
Always looking for new suggestions there. Anthony Gareffer.
Anthony.
I feel like Anthony's also got that same last name like Luke does. Like Luke Anthony Gareffer. Who's our buddy and good pal from Tweaktown. Go ahead and check them out. With the 5 Aussies. 5 Aussie dollars. I love you guys. Going to get a beer to join ya. That's what Anthony sounds like.
What time is it in Australia?
It's probably like, drunk 30 because they're Aussie bastards. Thank you very much, Anthony. We do appreciate it. We love you.
It's like early afternoon.
We think of you fondly here. 1:37 p.m.
Depends where you are in Australia. It's anywhere from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m.
He's probably eating a sandwich, having a lunch, or maybe wrestling a crocodile. It's like, I'm going to go see what Kyle and Paul are doing.
To start drinking,
Yep.
I guess.
Absolutely. Thank you very much,
Cheers,
Anthony. Wasted Space for the 10 British pounds. Rare I catch live. A YouTuber, streamer, and running 5820K, 32 gigs, 1080 Ti, custom water-cooled setup with 840 Pros and H440. It feels balanced, but will I actually see much from the new core increases? Adobe-based. The new core increases, is he talking about Skylake X, perhaps?
All right.
Going
So
from 5820K, which is what, an 6
it's
core?
a 6 core.
6 core, 12 thread part, going, let's say,
So,
if you were to max out a 7900K.
I'd say
X.
you're looking pretty good right now, and with what you have right now, you're totally fine and functional. What you're looking at potentially for the future is 8 core and above CPUs, because those will outperform your 6 core, especially when it comes to like rendering out a video or something like that. That said, 5820K,
Streaming a
you're not
porno.
going to get too much better gaming performance out of that other than dropping down to like the mainstream Intel platform and going with a really high frequency 7700K or something like that. So I'd say for right now, you're totally good. I wouldn't worry too much about your configuration. Give it 6 months plus for like the Intel stuff that's just launched to sort of play out and settle down a little bit, for the Threadripper stuff to play out and settle down a little bit.
Before you make any rash decisions.
Yeah, I'd say maybe consider an upgrade like around the holiday time this year when all the sales are going on and if you can get a good deal. But honestly, even at that point, you're probably still gonna be good with your 6 core and your 1080 Ti. It's probably gonna be a while before that needs
Before you feel a
an
slowdown.
upgrade.
Yeah.
But if you're an enthusiast and you really like computers, I've never been anyone to say like, you don't upgrade, like that would suck. Like if you're really into it, like
the good thing is that your 32 gig kit will still be good for upgrading to Skylake X.
Yep, that's true.
DDR4, you really only have to swap out the board and CPU, so that you have that going for you. But thank you very much, Wasted Space, for the donation. We do appreciate it. Next up, we've got Mad Mike Warren for the $5. Haha! Finally made it on live. Cheers to beers. I'm drinking Yuenling Black and Tan. Oh, Yingling.
Yingling?
Yingling is I think that's from Texas, maybe.
Not familiar.
Maybe. Have you've never had a Yingling before?
I don't think so.
I think it's from Texas, but I could be completely wrong. Let's see. Brews, expats, Yingling. Yuengling and
Oldest-
Son.
Oldest operating brewing company in the United
Oh, I guess
States.
it's from Pennsylvania.
Established in 1829. One of the largest brewers by volume in the country, based on volume sold in 2016.
Yeah. I remember getting drunk
Okay.
on Yuengling at an airport once.
Huh.
It was the first and only time I've had it.
That's interesting because I'm not
It was
familiar
good
with it.
though. Yeah, it was tasty. It was very clean and crisp. It's not too heavy. It's like sort of a, I don't know if I'd call it a pilsner, but yeah, it's a good beer. Well, we're
Nice.
glad that you're drinking that. The Black and Tan sounds delicious. Thank you very much, Mad Mike.
Thanks, man, Mike.
Next up, we've got Faro Barnhurst for the $10 donation. Great show, guys. Thanks for all the info. You are very, very welcome.
Totally welcome.
The Beast of the Dark $10 donation, upgrading to a 1080 Ti with the intent to water cool in a full loop. Should I go with a cheaper card since I'm replacing the cooler anyway, or aim for higher end for a chance at better binned chip/overclock? I think a 1080 Ti is perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'd go with the lower end card. The amount you have to spend for the binned chips is just like $200 more, and it's really not worth it for
It's
the
not.
minor improvement you get with clock speed.
Unless you're trying to break a world record.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're a hardcore overclocker, unless you're going to be going in and editing VBIOSes to increase the amount of voltage you can provide to the GPU, just stick with a basic,
basic ASIC.
Founders Edition design that you can get for a good price, because your overclocking with that will be just the same as on just about any of the add-in board cards, except the very highest end. And like I said, those aren't worth the money.
Indeed. Next up, we've got Fred Rant. Fred Rant for
Fred!
the $5 donation. I
Thanks,
will
Fred.
donate $100 if Kyle's wife comes up, smacks him up the backside of his head for dogging her about dinner. Well,
Heather,
I think she's downstairs and probably can't hear us, so that's probably not going to
she
happen.
was right there a second ago.
Really?
Heather.
Come here. Wife.
It's just Kyle is now actively. Hey, come hit me
No,
in the head.
Hit me in the friggin' face.
Hit
No,
me in
she's
the-
not there. She's
I guess-
downstairs.
all right, well,
So
that's too
whatever.
bad.
We'll miss out on
$100
$100. So hopefully that offer
Thank-
still goes for next week.
Thank you, though, Fred.
Thanks,
we'll
Fred.
we'll keep that in mind.
Xavier Metzger for the $5. Ryzen 1700 at 4 gigahertz. I can only get to 2800 with all 4 sticks in. Do you think it would be worth running 16 gigabytes at 3000 or stick with 32 at 2800? Love you guys.
I'm assuming you need the 32. If you need the 32,
Go
then
32.
stick with the 32.
Go with 32. Honestly,
If
even
you
going
don't-
from
yeah,
2800 to 3000 megahertz is probably only going to be like at most 5% of a difference. You're probably not going to notice it. I would value the capacity overall instead of the actual frequency and the additional frames.
I generally would too, but if you're not using above 16 gigs, if you can test, just keep an eye if you're running graphics, or if you're running if you're doing video editing or anything like that, anything that might use higher memory,
Wait, I think I hear my wife. Heather,
test it.
smack me in the face. Come here and smack me. Just smack me in the face. Just no context.
Heather, just to point this out, a $100 donation has been offered. If Kyle's wife comes up, smacks him in the backside of his head for dogging her about dinner. So all you have to do is smack Kyle in the back of the head.
Ow!
There it was. All right,
And now we wait.
that's all.
And now we wait. Okay, well, hurry up. We're almost done.
Also, it's dinner time.
It's
That was a legitimate smack.
We're a little bit late today.
Okay.
All right. That's pretty
Correct.
good.
Where
All
were
right,
we?
so yeah. Hopefully, Xavier, that makes sense. But yeah, go with the capacity if you're using it. If you're not using the capacity, go for the memory frequency.
Sure.
Wasted Space, £10 donation, and a second one because I owe you some ad block money without demanding an answer to some arbitrary question. Love the content and the combo. Keep being awesome, and you totally won Scrapyard or Scrapyard was
We
fine.
agree.
Wrong. Totally agree with you.
Hashtag Rob.
Wasted Space.
Never forget. Thank you very
Rob.
much, Wasted. Mark Hedman for the $5. Is it worth putting an i7-7820X into an X299 motherboard, or should I save for the i9-7900X? Which X299 board should I go with? If the i9 or the i7?
I would say yes. The 7820X is probably one of the most desirable CPUs on that platform right now because it's $600. You're limited to 28 PCI Express lanes, but a lot of people aren't going to use that much unless they really have, like, if you don't have 4 960 Pro SSDs and a 3-way GPU configuration, you're probably still going to be okay with 28 PCI Express lanes. There is something to be said, some critique of Intel for cutting down the 8 core. There it is, beautiful.
He actually
Thank
paid
you,
the
Fred.
$100.
Thank you, Fred. That's beautiful.
Fred's the best.
Just got that smack in this.
Follow through. You're a stand-up guy.
But
All
yeah,
right, go ahead.
7820X, actually, I looked this morning, the 7820X on Newegg was the first one to sell out. So I think that's the one that most people are interested in, and probably the one that's going to be the most practical, because it's $400 less than what you have to pay for the 7900, which you have to pay for to get your 44 PCI Express lanes and 10 cores. But 8 cores at $600 is still pretty good for the 7820X, and I'm actually slightly disappointed that I didn't pre-order one myself. I didn't. I've got a 7900 though, so that's okay.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Wasted space for the 10 British pounds and a second one because I owe you some ad block money without.
You're repeating. You're too.
Oh God. Okay.
Right
Okay.
there.
Obama ate my chicken.
Obama ate my
5
chicken.
Canadian. Which one of you is sitting on the crappy Staples chair? Neither of us.
Yeah, we're
sitting on crappy
both
Target chairs.
Crappy Target chairs.
Flippin' Fred, $5 during Pimp My PC. Would you consider spotlighting some actual pimped out rigs in between just to show what they would be like? We have done some like notable mentions, honorable mentions and stuff in the past.
Yeah, ones where you bring them
Pimp My
in
PC.
saying like, "There's nothing we can say about this one," but wanted to show you guys.
Stay tuned for maybe another week where we'll just do a bunch of like glamorous rigs that are better than ours.
That could almost be like a different segments,
Yeah.
like awesome setups or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Thank you very much, though. McFun Pants for the $5. Hey, gang, I have an i5 6600K and a GTX 1060. I wanted to game and stream to YouTube and Twitch. Should I just upgrade the GPU or do a full new build with Ryzen? So if you're going to stream, I would suggest Ryzen. Because you're going to get more cores and more threads, and you're not going to be spending you're not going to be paying an arm and a leg for that. It's very price to performance. I would say Ryzen 5, honestly, unless you really have some higher demands. So getting maybe like an R5 1600.
I feel like a Ryzen 5 wouldn't be a huge upgrade from a 6600K.
Really?
Yeah, because the 6600K has better instructions per clock than a Ryzen 5, and a Ryzen 5
for gaming, yeah.
A Ryzen 5 still only has 4 cores.
But for the streaming system.
And 8 threads. So you do have more threads. McFun Pants, here's what I would suggest you do. You have a 6600K that has an iGPU that has QuickSync. I would say try to test out some configurations with OBS and or XSplit, whatever you're trying for streaming, that uses QuickSync. The capabilities of that 6600K, you might lose a slight little bit of visual quality with the stream that you put out there, but it'll have a much less much less of an impact on your actual gaming performance for the graphics card. Since you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you also have the NVIDIA encoder option as well. So I would play around with both of those just to see if you can get a nice balance between
the GPU is going to be way
the
better.
performance that you have and the streaming that you have and the quality that you have. Because right now you have a pretty good configuration, and switching over to Ryzen or even like the X299 or something like that, I feel like would be a little bit more of a side grade for you right now versus just trying to figure out the best configuration for what you have and what you're using. Better graphics card might help your situation out a little bit more. So 1070 or 1080, but of course those are really hard to get reasonable prices for those right now, so that makes it a little bit harder.
But yeah, for, at the very least though, if you're going to be streaming, Ryzen is definitely a good option. Bubgun 45 $5 donation. Do you think I should continue with my i5 2500K at 4.2 gigahertz for the near future or get a new CPU? I don't know. I feel like it depends on what games you're playing right now. I feel like the 2500K, if you're overclocking to 4.2, is still pretty good. You'd probably get, I don't know, a 10 to 15% gain if you were to upgrade to something like the latest, like 7700K, for example, or 7600K, I guess, if we're going the i5 route. So I don't know.
Depends on your GPU as well.
Yeah.
But an overclocked 2500K is still perfectly viable right now.
Yeah, it is. My wife is still gaming on a 2600K, which is overclocked to 4.3 gigahertz, so not much more than that. It does have hyper-threading, but it doesn't really affect the gaming performance that she experiences very much, and she's still getting favorable frames in games like H1Z1, Overwatch occasionally when she plays it. So I don't know. I feel like it also depends on how much money you have at your disposal, how much disposable income you have.
Yep.
If you upgrade your CPU, obviously you're gonna have to upgrade your motherboard as well, possibly your memory. If you're gonna go for a DDR4 platform, then you're looking at a serious overhaul upwards to $400 or $500 at the very least.
Yes.
So bear that in mind. If you upgrade one of those things, you're going to have to upgrade several. But I think 2500K is pretty solid for now. Shane, $5. Building a Twitch streaming gaming PC. I had a 7700K picked and a GTX 1080 Ti. Should I nix the 7700K and go with an 1800, I believe he means X, or one of the X series processors from Intel?
Yes.
Yeah, if you're streaming, go with a high-end Ryzen or go with the X series.
If you're planning on gaming and streaming at the same time, you're going to want more cores and beyond the 4-core options that are available on Intel's mainstream platform right now. And Ryzen has proven to be a very good solution in that situation.
Yep.
And the FPS that you lose a little bit at the top end that you get with the 7700K is made up for by the fact that the Ryzen CPU can keep up, especially if you're doing CPU encoding, with streaming and gaming at the same time.
Okay, we're going to speed through the rest of these because we're super short on time.
Fred Rant.
Fred Rant, $2. Yes, I will make the offer again next week. You better freaking do
Fred
it.
Rant dropped the $100 just as promised.
Yeah!
As
money!
For hitting Kyle in the back of the head.
I mean, it's amazing what can be done when people
like
just
if
domestically abuse me.
Like, I'm not going to assume that every time I hit you in the back of the head, I'm going to get $100. Because if I were to assume that,
I'm a little terrified for your next half of the show.
Back of the head a lot.
I'm kind of scared for the next time we stream.
Right,
I'm just,
well, at least,
welcome, we're live.
Well, at least save it. Just start hitting Kyle in the back of the head.
Yeah. Donations just
We'll
blow up.
save it for next week and see how lucrative it actually turns out to
Absolutely.
be.
Buffalo Warrior 7, $5 finally caught a live show. Shame on you for not knowing American's longest running and still privately owned brewery. Take a little chug with me. Now we know Yingling
I'm out of beer.
is like the oldest brewery in America. Okay,
I did not know
let's
that.
all be honest. Americans are the worst when it comes to knowing their own history.
I'm not good at history.
This is not news to us. Debanjan Chowdhury for the 400 rupees donation. I believe that's maybe rupees or 400 something. Hello, Paul and Kyle, sir. Thank you very much for your amazing contents. Really enjoyed watching you guys in Scrapyard Wars. Love from a 15-year-old fan from India. So that is rupees. Thank you very much, Debanjan. Yes, we were glad that you enjoyed Scrapyard Wars. We hope that you know that deep down in your heart that we won that whole entire series of Scrapyard Wars Season 5, and that Linus and Luke are gosh darn cheaters, and they should burn in hell.
I believe you're correct. That's an Indian rupee. Indian
rupee. So thank you very much, Deb. I'm just going to call you Deb for short. Thank you very much, Deb. Rob Cribb for the 1 Aussie. Thank you for the single Aussie. No comment attached to that. And Big Gift for the $2. Thank you, sir. Johnson's. Let's do some Johnson's really quick. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Great goodness. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Right there.
All right. We've got one from Flippin' Fred again. Flippin' Fred, you're a madman.
I got
picking up some glasses. Johnson to you, sir.
Oh, he got double Johnson.
Double Johnson.
Also got the glasses from me.
Disturbed Medic.
Get the full set.
Disturbed Medic James. Thank you very much, sir. Love you, brah. For picking up an Evolution shirt. Glad that was in stock for you. We've also got Daniel Collins. Daniel Collins picking up some more glasses. Thank you, sir. Johnson to you. Nathan Coda. Nathan Coda for picking up some stuff. Johnson to Nathan. And Eric. Johnson to Eric. Thank you very much, Eric Dwayne.
Okay, James Disturbed Medic gets double Johnson.
Double Johnson.
Sorry, I had to catch up with that.
Double Johnson.
I'm a little bit behind.
Nah.
As well as Nathan. You said Nathan?
Yes.
Nathan also gets a double Johnson.
Woo!
Got the thumbscrew shirt.
Woo!
That's glorious.
All right.
Were you beyond that, Kevin? Did you get to Kevin?
I didn't get a Kevin.
You didn't get a Kevin?
I didn't get no Kevin.
Kevin got the Paul's Hardware white logo shirt, as well as the thumbscrew shirt. Couple shirts. Thank you to Kevin.
Yeah.
From Denver. I have like 5 more.
Jesus.
Eric D from Wisconsin.
Eric
oh my God.
It's Double Johnson.
Double Johnson.
Double
He
Johnson.
got the pub glass. He got the thumbscrew shirt. A couple thumbscrew shirts actually.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Going back here. Wait. All right, I have like 3 more older ones.
Go.
Anthony
Bourdain.
R. This is from the first half of the show.
Never mind.
Thumbscrew shirt for Anthony. Anthony gets Johnson. Thank you, Anthony.
Oh, shit.
Trevor B from Canada. Also, a Thumbscrew Organic Cotton Beanie. The glorious cotton beanie. Great option for Canada where it gets cold. Gets cold in Canada. William D from Virginia. Got the English Pub Glass, the 20-ounce single. Thank you, William D.
Yeah.
And Stephen H. got the English Pub Glass as well. Also the 20-ounce variety. So
Woo!
thank you very much to Stephen for that.
Thank
and
y'all.
And then that brings me, that's everyone.
Thank you so much for picking up some stuff from both of our stores, and thank you all so much for watching this episode of Awesome Hardware. That's going to conclude it for now, guys. If you enjoyed this on YouTube, go ahead and toss it a like and leave some feedback in the comments below. Other than that, we will be seeing you guys very shortly in our respective YouTube channels and in future videos that we've got planned for you very, very soon.
Be awesome.
It's going to be super cool, and hopefully you guys have a good night, good evening, good day, good morning, whatever the hell time it is over there on your end. Have a good one. We will be seeing you shortly. I love you. We love you all.
Bye.
Goodbye.
YouTube.
Goodbye. We're gonna